Hi guys, so how was a New Year's Eve for you? It was a little bit boring for me, but it's okay. I still had a little bit rest and I didn't upload videos for 4 days, so today I started started preparing a new lesson with new strengths, things like that, and basically I started making a video about forms with class-based views, because at least that's how the topic in documentation is called. So I started doing that, and then I realized that we kind of went to forms related to models, and then after that we went to the topic of models without forms, and basically also in documentation there was a kind of gap in information, so they presented a view but they didn't present how template should look like, and I had to actually Google it and find out how actually templates should look like. So I just was thinking about that, and in this regard my lessons are even more useful than documentation, because here I actually need to show how everything is working, and in order to show it I need to show like all the details, so not only views but also templates, things like that, and it's even more full guide here on my channel than it is in the documentation topic by topic, so that's cool. But yeah, I just realized I spent too much time dealing with models, and the forms kind of went on the background, and so I just decided to actually go fully with the models in this lesson, because there's a lot of information about that in the guide that I saw, and we will go with the forms in the next video. Actually, it will be a little bit smaller video, and this video about models will be much bigger. So these are the things that I wanted to show you before the lesson, and the other thing that I wanted to tell you is that I already worked with the models a little bit in the introduction to class-based views, and you can find here a little bit repeating information, but it will not be a lot of repeating information. And for example, if we take into account student create view, which we will create today, actually in this tutorial that I found on the official documentation, it's even more efficient. So they provided even more efficient code to actually create object of models. So basically, if you saw introduction, you will still find a lot of useful information in this lesson. And now I can actually go into the topic itself. So I have here my model student, and we will work entirely with this model today. We will list students, we will create students, we will update students, we will delete students, and yeah, and we will show the details of the student also. So I guess for our purposes, the best thing to do is to start with list view. So let's do that. Let's import list view, Django views, generic list, import list view, and now let's create class student list view inherited from list view, and here we just need to show the model that we should use. Template name, it will be students, for example, and let's also give context object name. This is basically will be a variable that we can use in the template in order to show all the students, all the data that we provide here. So now let's create folder templates as usual, and let's create this file, students.html. And now let's open URLs, and here I already have a lot of stuff, so let's delete all of that. This is the stuff that I already prepared for my lesson, but I forgot to delete it. So yeah, we import this student list view that we have just created, very simple list view. And we assign it to URL list students, and we say student list view as view in order to show it, show this class as view, and just assign some name here. Student is not defined. Yes, we also need to import from models student. And now if we open this page, we don't see anything because I didn't provide this data here, students, that we so we said that, okay, so we said that context object name will be students, and here we can use it as a variable to show all the data. And we have a list of all the students. Cool. So what next? Well, I think let's go into detail view. So what if we, for example, say in the URLs path you say path student detail, and we provide some integer for primary key, right? So, and we will have for example something called student detail view as view, and let's say name student detail, something like that. So let's now actually create this view, class student detail view. It will be inherited from detail view that we will import from Django views generic detail import detail view. And again, it will be quite easy thing to define this view. So again, we just specify the name of the model, we specify the name of the template, which will be student HTML, and we also provide context object name, which will be, in our case, for example, student. You can define any name here. Let's create this student HTML template and just show it like this, student, and hopefully student detail view is not defined. Well, it is defined actually. Okay, yeah, sure, we need to import it, student detail view. And now we can say student, for example, this with the ID 23, student detail 23, and template does not exist for some reason, because we need to actually specify template name here. Yeah, and we actually have it here. So what next? Okay, well, maybe creating objects. So we basically already discussed creating objects in the introduction, but in this time we will have a much more simpler way to actually define this create view. For people who already saw this introduction, I will tell you what remains the same. So basically template remains almost the same. Create, edit, I specify edit because we'll be able to edit with this template too. So template create edit, and now let's create the form. And here what is different, we don't need to specify any URL here for action, because we will not need to actually receive this information and work with that. So it will be saved automatically. But what we need still, we need to define that method will be post. We will need to define this CSRF token. We'll actually need to display the form, and we will need to actually make a button type submit. Save student. So basically, in the previous lesson, in the introduction lesson, you could see that we defined here the URL, for example, like create student, but we don't need to do it now because it will be a little bit different. So let's create a view for this template class student create view. And now we go to different territory. We go to Django views generic edit territory. And here we can, for example, import create view and the same model student template name equals create edit HTML. And let's also define success URL, or actually we also need to define fields here. This is also different. Form, and also one more, yeah, let's for people who already watched introduction, there we actually defined a model class. Now we don't define a model. There we defined form class. Now we don't actually specify form class. We specify only model. And also here we need to specify fields. Fields will be name, age, and graduated, so basically all the fields. And also we'll need to specify template name. Oh yeah, we specify that. Success URL, this is also different. And when we successfully create student, let's just send the user to this list student page. And now let's actually define it in the URLs. For example, let's this URL be student at student create view as view. And let's actually import it, student create view, and let's see if we have any problems. We don't. Student add improperly configured, and something with the field. Yes, because I specify only field, but we need to specify fields. Okay, and there is also some problem here. Yep. Okay. Okay, and now actually let's create the guy with the name Happy New Year. I don't know. Let's see. Oh my god, sorry. I defined this list student URL, but it's list students actually. Okay, let's do it again. Merry New Year, let's call it this way. Yeah, that's let's save student here, and let's see. Yeah, this is the guy, Merry New Year, with the ID 31. And now let's have edit view. Let's actually edit the guy. So it's really similar to create view, and we will need to specify update view here. Let's just copy that and change something. Student update view, model student, template basically the same, fields are the same, success URL the same. Yeah, basically this is exactly the same except the name and what we inherit here. And let's actually create URL for that. Path student, and we specify integer ID here. Student update view, yes, view. Okay, I'm tired of specifying names. Student update view. Okay, do we have any problems? Seems like not. So we had this guy, Merry New Year, with the ID 31. So let's try to get this guy here, yes. And let's call him Merry Christmas now. And we can see that we updated this guy. So we created a lot of stuff, and I guess the only one thing which is missing here, and this is deleting. So let's specify delete view, and let's create class student delete view. With delete view, as usual, we specify model, then we specify template name. Let's call it confirm HTML, and success URL also, success URL. Then let's actually create this template name. So when you have this delete view, you will need to have template for confirming that you actually want to delete something. So let's create this view, let's create this template, confirm HTML, and let's have a form here. Maybe we can actually take it from create delete to not actually write everything here, and just without form, because we don't have any form here, but we can ask sure, and here we'll have button yes. Let's close the form, and let's actually create a URL for that once again. So it will be path student the same, and we add delete student delete view as view, and let's actually import that stuff here. Student delete view. Do we have any problems? No, we don't have any problems. And let's try to delete, I don't know, I really like this guy, nice name. So let's delete this guy, right, by the ID 23. So we say student 23 delete. We ask if we are sure. Yes, we are sure. And that's it. There is no guy with the ID 23. And this is basically it for models. Next video will be about forms. It will be a little bit shorter. And as usual, I will ask you to please subscribe, give me a like, post a comment. This is the best way you can support me if you think that my content is worth making, and I will really appreciate that.